Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So I think it's important to take a step back from the results we saw on Tuesday and kind of understand how bad were they really? Because obviously they were not that good. We understand Republicans underperformed expectations. I thought they would lose everything with the possible exception of Virginia's Attorney General's race. Turns out they got shellacked. We understand that, but circumstances matter. And I think there's three things to take away from this. One, there's a government shutdown going on and Republicans are withholding benefits, and that caused a last-minute turnout surge for the Democrats. We understand that. Jack Ciattarelli actually got more votes than Phil Murphy got 4 years prior. He got the amount of votes he thought he needed to win. You just had, a couple 100,000 Democrats surge, which were able to really boost that margin up to, pre-Trump 2024 usual New Jersey margins. And we understand that. So, you have that going on. You also have the fact that Republicans are not really doing the best right now with economic messaging. I don't think the tariffs are causing as many negative impacts on the economy as a lot of people would like to believe. But, you're not seeing prices go down. You're not seeing you are seeing egg prices, gas prices, but the overall prices are not really going down. Affordability is not going down whatsoever for a lot of people. And I know it takes time. I'm not saying that Trump is messing it up. I'm just saying the messaging that Republicans as a whole have on the topic is not really something that's benefiting them. And as a result, the Democrats are the angry party, just like Republicans were in 2021 when they overperformed in New Jersey and Virginia. So keep all that in mind. That being said, the shutdown will very likely end, and I do believe the economy next year very possibly could see some positive developments. And if that happens, all the reason for the Democrat overperformance is going to probably go out the window. And it's also important, the third thing, to keep this in mind. Democrats overperformed in 2025 by 7 points less in New Jersey than Republicans overperformed in 2021, by 3 points less in Virginia. So again, whichever way you want to look at it, 2026, well, it's right around the corner, and Democrats are still in a whole lot of trouble regarding the Senate. So when we come back from a brief word about our friends over at Chalk, we're going to fill this map out and see if Republicans are going to be able to, and why they'll be able to hold the Senate and by how much. Men's testosterone levels decline 1% a year on average after the age of 30. Even worse, their levels on average are half of what they were 50 years ago. Testosterone is more than just your manhood. It's critical for mental clarity, mood, sleep, and overall vitality. And the Patriots at Chalk.com, CHOQ.com, have formulated a blend of natural herbal supplements that support your body's natural testosterone production. Just one ingredient in their male vitality stack has boosted free testosterone levels by more than 50% in just 21 days. And right now, you can get 25% off your Chalk subscription for life. Just go to Chalk.com, that's CHOQ.com, and use the promo code REDEAGLE. That's 25% off any subscription for life, and you could cancel at any time. Chalk is made in America, and their all-American customer service team is standing by to assist you. That's Chalk.com, CHOQ.com, promo code REDEAGLE, or you can call or text them at 50-CHALK-3000. All right, guys, back to the video. So we'll start off with the safe red states here. Already, keep this in mind, Republicans are going to be starting off at a very high point in terms of the Senate. And we understand that even kind of being somewhat cautious, it's very likely they're going to win all of these states by more than 10 points we're filling out here. And then Democrats are probably going to win these states that we're filling out here by more than 10 points as well. So Republicans already out of the gate have a pretty high floor. I think Florida probably you could even put in that safe column. On the Democrat side, we'll fill this out here. I think Cory Booker does win by more than 10. Colorado will be D plus 10 as well. And this kind of leaves us with plenty of states here, 13 to be exact, that will be decided by less than that. And we'll start off with the likely red states. And this is why Republicans are going to go out there and win the Senate, in my opinion, because they're not losing the state of Iowa. Let's make that clear. And here's the deal. If Republicans underperformed at the rate that they underperformed in Virginia, in every single state, they would still be able to win the Senate. And it's very unlikely that the Democrats are going to go out there and topple an incumbent in a Trump plus 10 state that's, kind of got decent approvals and solid fundraising. That goes for both Ohio and Alaska. It is true that Sherrod Brown's running again. I still believe that Ohio is going to go red by more than 5 points. John Husted, the incumbent senator, Sherrod Brown is not really off to the strongest start, in my opinion, for his campaign. Doesn't really seem like he's in this to win this. And I think as a result, Republicans are going to capitalize. Also, Texas, they're going to hold that. It could get closer if Paxton's the nominee, but still, it's Texas. It's one of the few states that Republicans are turning out their voters in. Also, Nebraska. You cannot forget about Nebraska. Democrats are going to try to put up an independent who masquerades as an independent but is really a Democrat in a state instead of putting up a candidate of their own, so they can maybe peel off 5% more of the vote. I still think that it's going to stay in the Republican column, and that's going to give them 51 Senate seats. Now, the Democrats on the flip side are going to win New Mexico. They're going to win the state of Virginia. They're going to win Minnesota. And that's going to push the totals to 51 to 44, and that's going to leave 5 states left on the table. And these are the states that are really the toss-ups, and it's possible the Democrats could go out there, depending on the circumstances, and sweep them all. If there's a massive scandal in Ohio that gets unearthed or something, maybe you could talk about a state like that. Or if Vivek underperforms significantly and weighs down the ticket, which I don't think is necessarily going to happen. I do think that he's not going to win by a ridiculous margin, though I think people tend to overrate his electability for numerous reasons that we don't really have to get into. We'll talk about it more in our governor's prediction whenever we do one. But you have 5 states that are going to be relatively, in my opinion, close. And that is not going to change. Although, like I said, it does depend on the state of the economy. It does depend on what the key issues are that are going to frame the midterms. This is all something that matters. Also, mechanics. The amount of money that goes in on either side. Republicans tend to be doing pretty well on that front with the fundraising, more so than they did for the 2025 cycle. So we'll start off with Maine. And Maine's an interesting one because you have Graham Plattner on the Democrat side who was announcing his bid. He was getting a lot of support. And then it turns out he's got multiple skeletons in his closet, including one on his chest that has been covered up. But realistically, I think the bigger scandal there was actually a lot of posts he made on Reddit that were just violent, that he's tried to walk back. But still, it's Maine, Susan Collins, she is still an electoral juggernaut of sorts. When Trump was on the ballot and lost the state by 10, she won by 10, even though the polls had her down by 10. And Jerry Golden's retiring, which is also interesting, and that's a benefit for Republicans at the House level for sure. They could pick up that seat. Regardless, I think it's going to be close. I actually think Plattner is going to beat Mills in the primary. I think Democrats are going to look at somebody like a Zoran and be like, oh, well, this guy might be the future of the party, when in reality, Maine is still a state that is relatively independent and older and Democrat leaning, but moderate and pro Susan Collins. I think it's going to be her closest race yet, but I think that she probably is going to eke out a victory just because she'll be able to tout support from a lot of prominent Democrats in the state, and a lot of that stuff does tend to go a long way, and it's why she overperforms, and she might have to come out and break with Trump on a couple things. And I think that against somebody like a Plattner who's a total lunatic, she will get enough of Trump's base out, especially because LePage is running for House in the 2nd district, and he has a big overlap there. So New Hampshire, this one I think is going to go Democrat. John Sununu is running, it seems. I think that that's a pretty solid choice of a candidate. Again, New Hampshire is a little bit of a weird state. Republicans actually overperformed in New Hampshire at some of these special elections on election day, which not a lot of people really talked about much. And, it is kind of like the anomaly. I think it's going to be close, though, in New Hampshire. I really do. It's possible Pappas walks away with like a 4-point victory. As of right now, maybe I'll keep it as a 2-point victory in the state. But Michigan, North Carolina, and Georgia, those are the big three. And Republicans are running a Mike in each state. Michigan, you have Mike Rogers. North Carolina, Mike Whatley. And Georgia, Mike Collins. So I think Michigan's going to be one of these states that comes down to who the candidate is on the Democrat side. Mike Rogers is winning the polls right now, but it's like hard to even envision a Republican senator in Michigan winning in a midterm year where you have a Republican president. It's kind of tough to see. Michigan hasn't had a Republican senator in like 20-some years, but could it happen this time? Depending on the Democrat nominee, I think that the middle ground option would probably put it at like a D+2 regardless. But if it's El Sayed, I think that Rogers wins. If it's Stevens, I think Rogers has a shot to win. If Democrats end up nominating McMorrow, she's not the greatest candidate, but I think that she would probably give them the best shot because she is not as disliked as the others. So we'll see what happens out of Michigan. Georgia, this is a state where you have a incumbent Democrat. He has voted to shut down the government multiple times, but at the same time, it's like, Republicans are really starting at a fundraising disadvantage. The state is kind of trending to the left. I think Ossoff probably hangs on, but I don't think it's going to be by much. In fact, it could be runoff territory. And I think the Democrats have won the runoffs lately in Georgia. So we'll see what happens if it goes to a runoff this time. And then North Carolina, this is a race where Roy Cooper's running, and I think the guy's very overrated. For a former governor that supposedly had these high approvals, he was underperforming in his elections, for one. And for two, like, he's polling in the mid to high 40s. There's a competent North Carolina GOP. At the end of the day, I think this is one of those where it comes down to what's the state of the economy at the time of the election. But, Democrats have not won a federal election in the state since 2008. There's a chance that it changes, but because of propensity dynamics, the way the state is moving, etc. Midterm year with midterm turnout, I wouldn't bet against Mike Whatley, but it's going to be very, very, very close. And we'll continue to monitor these races. But right now, Republicans, I'm holding strong with this prediction, 53-47. I think a lot's going to change in the next year, just like a lot changed between 2024 and 2025. Higher turnout than an off year. Not the greatest propensity dynamics for Republicans, but not the worst. You have 250th birthday celebration coming up for the United States that Trump is going to be headlining. You'll have that midterm RNC. We'll see what happens, but I think turnout's going to be higher. And I think in a way that benefits Republicans more than the government shutdown surge that we saw in 2025. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.